All right. I'm gonna read some quotes here from the Derek Falvey season-ending press conference here. Apparently, I also read that he spent an hour talking to reporters until they had exhausted all of their questions, which is a rarity in sports. I'm told that you never see that type of access. Crazy. Anyhow.
Okay.
All
Let's.
right.
What else?
Here's the
What do you like best among the hot quotes there?
Well, here, I'll just read this one. As a whole group, so he said the health side was a big part of the problem this year, but as a group, we felt like this group of coaches and leaders, front office all the way down, staying intact, is the right group to help lead us in the direction we need to go.
Hey, quick question. How many groups were there in there? That's our now favorite word, groups. How many? What have we got? 3-4 groups there?
The right group. Well, there's the pitching group. There's the analytics group.
We got groups. We're big.
We need a base running group, I think, if there's not
cool.
one. A third time through the order group could be helpful.
Yeah.
We felt like in the second half of the season, a lot of the game planning and some of the things we were trying to do and execute was pretty good. You're evaluating process relative to outcome. I know that's not always the easiest thing to do, but we're trying to understand whether or not our process is good. I feel good about where our process was at in the second half of the year.
Where'd you see this horse bleep?
The Athletic.
Oh, okay. The process stuff. Okay, I didn't see that. I just saw our horse bleep. I didn't see theirs. So, okay. Nothing about total system failure, though. We didn't get that this time, did we?
I'll do a Control F and see if I can find it.
See if we can. Okay. The process. Well, your process sucked. Okay. You were what? 50 and 68. Was it? Is that 18 games under? After whatever process you had, whatever process caused you to, think you could rest Byron Buxton in April and May and have him play the whole season. Whatever process that was. Although we did fire the trainer, so that should really help.
Yeah, right next to the 10-year anniversary of Rick McWayne, the head trainer, getting fired in 2012.
But you know what we're going to get? I saw this. I didn't see this today, but I saw it a couple of days ago. A soft tissue expert. We're going to have a soft tissue expert, so that'll help us a lot. I don't know. This is the only trouble with these guys. They're the same. Everybody tries to explain away lousy seasons, but they do it with the Eastern liberal college language that offends you. That's their problem. Their problem is they're talking about, this group and that group, and they never get down and grimy with baseball fans and tell us how come they blew up one of the great folds. When you consider the level of the competition, it was one of the great folds in Twins history.
Yeah. So they're basically saying, when I read this and I get through the 19 mentions of process here, they're saying as a group of front office and coaching and managerial decision makers, we did a great job.
Yes.
And that's what they're saying.
Yes.
And then they're saying, by extension, without saying it, the players failed to execute the plan that we put forth, or the injuries and the bad luck prevented us from the results or the outcome that we would expect with our honed process.
Yes. But then again, if it wasn't for all the injuries, maybe the process would have worked. But did anybody in this hour say, why did Wes Johnson really leave? What is all this horse crap you gave us about he had to get back to recruit? And does it have something to do with your complex pitching development planning that he said, I've had enough and get the hell out of here? You wouldn't have gotten an answer, but you would have gotten it on the record.
I'm not sure. We couldn't tell you. Our invite may have gotten lost in the mail somewhere.
Yeah,
here.
SKOR North.
Well, I had an invite, but I don't believe in those things anymore, because I've said, you know what? About 6 years ago, I went to Spielman's draft preview and said, I'm never going to any of these things again as long as I live. It's just a waste of my of walking 100 yards to get there. It's a waste of that little exercise I have left in my body to walk to hear this crap. And boy, yesterday, that must have been world-class horse crap. So, but we had 3 stories on it. Nothing there, but we had 3 stories on it.
So just as a small thing, I got one question about 2 people. How is Tommy Watkins back at third base? Now I understand him not being fired. You know, you love Tommy. That's awesome. And poor Pete Mackey, if ever a man looked like he didn't want a job, looked like he was waiting for the end so he could be mercifully put out of his misery, he's now coming back to in that same job.
They said, however, they may add another pitching coach. They may go up to 3. And I got a hunch we're going to have Coes. I think we're going to have Cole. And maybe they can get LaTroy or somebody to be the guy that walks out to the mound. Maybe they could get LaTroy.
So he doesn't look afraid of his own shadow as he's doing it?
Coaches, yeah. But I'm very surprised. But basically, I love Tommy. I go way back with Tommy, but I love him. But basically, he said, yes, he was horse bleep, but we're keeping him anyway because everybody likes him. That was the quote. Yes, he had a terrible year waving guys home, getting them thrown out by 30 feet for no reason. But we all like him, so we're keeping him, damn it.
Steve Little, man. He's the second coming. Go, no, stop. No, go.
Yeah, well, Steve, as I always said, Steve had stopped to make sure if it was a home run or not. Steve had to see it land in the second deck before he'd wave him in. But I don't know. It is amazing the animus towards this team, considering it's not one of the classically terrible Twins teams. I mean, we've had many more. We've had in the last decade, we had worse. But people in general, I mean, the casual fans hate this team worse than any of the bad ones, don't you think?
Yeah, I sense that. Yeah.
It's just, it's just people couldn't stand watching, Dylan Bundy, 5 great innings against the Angels. We got to get him out of there after 64 pitches because one of the 2 hitter, their 1 hitter in the lineup might be coming up. I mean, people, they don't understand what the group is doing. I can tell these guys, the public has no idea what you're doing as a group. Your various groups are doing as groups.
I think here, just on like the Dylan Bundy note for a second. So I was just spending some time. I was reading all these articles and quotes this morning, just like, why do I feel? Because you're right. It's not like 2016. You've gone through like 5 90 loss seasons or 1999. It's not like that. So why do I feel? Why am I so irritated by everything I'm reading and seeing here? And I'll give you one example. First of all, the Twins they blow smoke up your ass and then turn the other direction. Like, it's almost like they're gaslighting fans and media. So every season, with the exception of maybe the Mariners this year, who just had their entire rotation intact for 6 months, which is rare, you're going to need probably 7, maybe 8 starting pitchers to get through a season.
Yes.
Hopefully your main 5 can go as planned as much as possible. But the Twins' top 8 starting pitchers on the depth chart this year were Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Dylan Bundy, Chris Archer. They traded for Chris Paddock. Bailey Ober was in there. And then Devin Smeltzer was in the mix if someone got injured. And then they eventually traded for Tyler Mahle.
And then Winder was a rookie, but he was supposed to be a reliever. He was supposed to be a reliever.
And so if you don't even count Winder for a second, the planned pitchers that you either traded for and had known injuries or not, or the Dylan Bundy reclamation projects, the guys that you signed off on as a front office made 85% of the starts and were the worst pitching staff 3rd time through the order in the American League and had injury issues
we don't know that, though, because they only had like 23 at-bats the 3rd time.
But my point is, so this was your plan. This is your plan. And you can't get through a 3rd time through the order. And, oh, my God, Chris Paddock and Tyler Mahle have injuries that were already publicized right before you traded for them. That is on you. That's not bad luck. That is on you.
I will tell you that last Friday, the start of the last homestand. I went over there intent to sit down with Falvey and ask some serious questions, right, about the whole pitching thing. And I discovered that it's hopeless. He's from Trinity College and I'm from Fulda. I got no chance to pin him down and get him to he's going to tell me about the group and the process and the risk factors and when you say, how did this happen? How did you sign two guys who were hurt? How did you possibly get it in your head to trade Chris, you could have traded Taylor Rogers to 10 teams and you decided to trade it, give them $6 million and give me a pitcher with a bad elbow. And another guy who made us weep for the days of Alex Colomé. Bring back Alex instead of Emilio. We'll take Alex any day over Amelia. So, but it's hopeless. It's you can't get answers to candid questions.
And it also and maybe you're from Fulda and he's from Trinity College, but you've also been watching and covering baseball for a half century. You know what you're looking at when it comes to baseball. And I think another thing that just irritates me is these guys are coming in and they are literally trying to reinvent the way that a major league pitching staff operates. They had the fewest trips a third time through the order. They had among the top 3 most taxed bullpens. So, okay, so you're going to go that extreme, and it wasn't because of injuries that you did it. Your designed staff operated that way on purpose. So 100+ years, let's not even go 100. Let's even just go the last 10 or 15 years of baseball history, recent baseball history. You're going to do it that drastically different? Really?
Yeah. And you did it so drastically different that your new age pitching staff, pitching coach with the force plate and everything was so disgusted with it. Right. He went home. He left at midseason. This was, the more you talk about it, Falvey doing a 1 hour wrap up Monday makes it worse. They should have just let it stand on its own, right?
I agree. Yeah.
And if somebody wants to call up Derek and ask him a couple of questions, fine. But this whole notion that somehow you are serving the media with this crap is, I don't know.
But it gives him and the Twins a chance to further basically sell their points, which, by the way, the majority of people are buying into, at least in our business, and that's the problem.
Maybe we are, but the public's not.
No, I know, but they don't. But they think they are.
We're supposed to be providing information to the public that they semi-trust. Right?
Correct.
Well, they have a 180 difference of opinion on this team than most of the people covering them.
Right, but they are so smug, Pat, that I think that they think it's working, despite the fact it's not. Because here's my thing. I think they're incredibly book smart. I think as far as street smarts and common sense goes, they're hopeless. So they think what they're doing is working, and nobody's telling them, you know what? This ain't working. You're losing people left and right. People despise you. They don't like Rocco. Why not? Because you're all so arrogant and smug.
Well, I don't see Rocco arrogant. I don't think he's arrogant.
He thinks he's selling the message. Yeah, I've seen it.
He's selling. Yes,
I've seen it.
Yeah, he got hired.
Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Just say, you know what, Jed? I'm not that bright. You're right. Yeah. I asked the guy. I said at a press conference, I said, Rocco, you're the poster child for every decision. You're being booed after Joe Ryan was pulled. I said, you are the poster child. How do you feel about taking a fall? Basically opening the door for him to say, I don't like it too much. And he gave me a long-winded Rocco-esque answer. It's dude, just tell me, you know what? I'm the fall guy here.
Yeah. Well,
that's all I want.
This little snippet of the way they now operate, and I love Dustin Morris, been with him for years. He answers all my phone calls and lines stuff up if I need it. But they now have Dustin doing interviews of players on TV on these little snippets. You don't have your PR director doing interviews of your players for You want objective people like Audra doing those.
What do you want, Dick Bramer doing them?
Dick.
I'm gonna ask you a tough question.
Dick's too damn busy.
Bacon and eggs or just bacon?
Has anybody talked to Perky? Is there any way we can get him back on our side? Is there any way we can get?
We've lost him.
Listen, honestly, like just to pull back the curtain. So Glenn was amazing for us the first year of SKOR North, before, when we were doing more live radio and stuff. And then the staff got torn down in 2020. And as we've built this thing back up, the audience just doesn't really respond to Twins content like they did 3 years ago.
No, but
so,
here's what I'm saying is I texted Judd Sunday and said, it's all over. Perky just said Arise has been playing on one leg for a month. You know, he's gone to the indoctrination program.
Perk, come back, Perk.
I said, Pat, you and me, Blues Brothers scenario.
Yeah,
we go save Perk.
Mission from God.
A mission from God. We go save Glenn Perkins.
Get out to Lakeville and get him.
You can have Morneau. You can have Smalley. You can have anyone else you want. Just give us Glenn back.
I knew we were losing him when I texted him a couple of weeks ago. They had both him and Smalley on. And Smalley told the story before the game about how Tony Oliva came to him when he was having a slump and said, I was hitting 180 in 1964 in the middle of May, and I won the batting title. And they, this is the era of Baseball Reference. Plus you have me who remembers Tony going like 20 for 30 to start the season, right? So I looked it up. At one point in May, he was hitting 370. How could you tell that? So I texted it to work and I didn't get a response. And I said, Perk's been converted.
It's over.
He doesn't want that candor and have him say, hey, Roy, by the way, might have been a different year, but it wasn't 64.
It's over.
Unbelievable.
It
is. They are. I mean, they padded hard to get to 1.8 million this year. And this is, now you saw, you're seeing in Seattle what can happen is if out of nowhere you have this tremendously exciting team, but they worked hard to get that team. I mean, they went out and said, we're going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's,
Well, at the end of the day, the Sonny Gray acquisition was a good acquisition. I'm not saying that everything the Twins did was, they did some good stuff, but at the end of the day, the Mariners went out in the offseason and signed the 2001 Cy Young Award winner in free agency, Robbie Ray, who actually got rocked in that game too. And then they traded for unequivocally the best available starting pitcher at the deadline, and they gave up a ton. And the Twins traded for Chris Paddock with a partially torn UCL, and Tyler Mahle, who 2 weeks before was on the injured list with a bad shoulder. And when I say that, people push back and say, well, Luis Castillo missed the first month with a bad shoulder. And I said, yeah. And then he made 15 consecutive lights out starts before the trade deadline, showing that he's healthy.
I got one thought I had this morning, actually, when I was walking upstairs here. It's so bad for the Twins right now that people were ripping Carlos Correa, who was really good and was fantastic down the stretch. But he's, one of the 10 or 12 best players in baseball, and you had him. And even people are so down on him, you would say something about him, and there'd be more criticism in the comments than there was. Yeah, he's a hell of a player, but he's surrounded by dummies,
Yeah,
so.
I want to give you guys one more here too, because I literally told these guys before we turned the mics on, before you jumped in, Pat. I started reading these articles this morning and Falvey's quotes, and I just started just brain dumping all of it was like writing a column in my own notes. And one of the things I landed on here was just the Jim Pohlad category. And I think there's nuance here because most fans, first of all, I've never met a fan that loves Jim Pohlad, which we'll get to in a second. But most people miss the mark when they criticize him. They criticize the Pohlads for being cheap, which sometimes you can make that argument. But in baseball, where there's no salary cap, you're operating on local revenues, the Twins generally spend around league average I generally don't have a problem with where the Twins spend. Would I like them to be a little more aggressive here and there? Yes. To me, the two biggest problems with Pohlad, number one, his family has owned this franchise for 35 years, and Jim still has zero connection to this fan base.
Yes, that's true.
Zero connection. So, like, in a moment of perceived angst or crisis or, oh man, public perception, fans aren't showing up to Target Field, what's Jim Pohlad going to say to calm the waters? And last year it was, this front office is doing an A-plus job. He always misses the mark with his comments, and he essentially has no connection with the fans that pay money to watch his team.
It's hard to be a owner of a high-profile sports franchise when you would just assume people not know you exist.
Yes.
And that's his personality. And when they were shuffling, as I said the other day, when they were shuffling responsibilities within the family, Jim landed on baseball. And but get used to him, because it's now it's damn near $2 billion to buy a franchise now, 1.5. But who's gonna pony up 1.8?
Yeah, it's not like you look at the NBA and you can just see an upward to the right trajectory for values. Major League Baseball is a little tenuous. But the other thing is, and sometimes this is lip service, but it works brilliantly for the Wilfs when they did it, for instance, a few months ago. Jim shows zero desire on behalf of the fans, on behalf of the organization, to compete for a championship. Like, at least the Wilfs will come out, and if it's just lip service, that's fine, but they'll come out in a press release after they fire Zimmer and Spielman and say, we want to compete for championships and Super Bowls, and that is our goal here. Mark Lowry gets the job as the minority share of the ownership, and he is throwing out championships. And again, a lot of it's probably just lip service, but Jim doesn't even do that. He doesn't even get people excited saying, you know what, this is unacceptable. As the owner of this franchise, we expect more. We want to compete for championships. I don't know that I've ever heard him say anything close to that before.
Yeah, probably not. Well, and then, I mean, maybe they figure they got there too. What the hell? It was, I don't see ownership as a big problem. I see the problems are, I don't know. There are other owners like this who are behind the scenes who are fairly successful. It depends upon if you got the right, if you give them the right resources, and their resources are okay. They just haven't used them the best, But this year was a golden opportunity to surprise us all, and now everybody hates them. So it's weird, and now everybody's mad at St. Pete because he said he was disappointed. Well, of course he was. They thought they were going to do something and draw some people, and they didn't.
I'm gonna throw St. Peter a bone.
About St. Pete, you know what they found out though, when the people didn't respond to them in the second half when they were first place, they got a big PR problem. That's what they discovered, right?
Yes.
Baseball and them.
Yeah, and here's my question though. So if Pohlad doesn't like day to day know exactly, or I guess it's a better term to say, understand what's going on, and Dave definitely runs the business side, who does have an idea of if Falvey is blowing smoke or knows what he's doing? That's my question, because the more I watch him operate, again, I lose a lot of faith. I mean, I watch Cleveland where he came from, right, Pat? And I see Cleveland doing things and I'm like, wow, that's impressive. Pitching, manager, just a lot of things. I watch the Twins and say, that's supposed to be your blueprint, and I don't see that blueprint being installed here.
We did hire a 34-year-old guy out of the Cleveland front office that was about their number 5 guy. So it's not like he was the key decision maker. Tito apparently liked him, and they'd have discussions about pitching and stuff like that. But any thought that Falvey was the guy putting together the.
Oh no, I didn't think that. I thought he might take notes.
Yeah, I did too. But he's here. I'll tell you how bad it is. I went to spring training every year from 1974 through this year, except for one year when Clem went to the final 8 or final 16, and my Trip got canceled. I didn't go last year, and I'm not going this year. I have no interest. I'm not going to go down there, get little limited access, write all this crap, not have anybody to, there's nothing there for me anymore. Hell with it. Come on home. Let's see if you're any good or not. Plus, the city might be destroyed. That's got something to do with it too. But.
From a PR perspective, I'm gonna try and throw the Twins a bone here on Twitter. I'm gonna try and throw because I know they're about to unveil a new rebrand and uniforms here, and so I'm just gonna throw a poll out on Twitter. How pumped are you for the Minnesota Twins new uniforms to be unveiled soon? Are you very excited? Couldn't care less, or just go win a playoff game as the third option? Let's just see. Maybe people are excited about the new rebrand.
You know what they should cancel? Breaking out the new food options at Target Field with a media session in March, because people make so much fun of them for the new food items. Yeah, you don't need. You know what you need? You need vendors. You don't need new food items. Yeah. Let's bring back the next generation's Wally the beer man.
Cheaper beer. That's what you need, Pat. You keep calling for it, and you're right. Cheaper beer.
Yeah, that's what we should do. Remember when we used to have slogans? We always had slogans. They don't have slogans anymore, do they? They don't have slogans.
Maybe sometimes.
Yeah, but cheaper beer would be a great slogan.
It would be, yeah. By the way, the first reply on my poll here is from Gary Sheffield Jr., who says, as a Yankee fan, I'm very excited for the new Twins uniforms.
I suppose he's very unhappy that they're not playing the Twins in the semifinal, in the quarterfinals here. Probably needs the quarterfinals in baseball. We have so damn many.
We should, I think. Or is it the round of is the round of 8? Maybe it's the round of 8. Although the last round had 8 too.
Pick up your Star Tribune this morning for full details. We got the TV. We got the TV times. Oh, wow. Talk about giving up on baseball. We got the TV times. That's it. But hey, I'm still loyal to him. We got full coverage of the Falvey group in today's paper. So the group.
Yes, we do.
The last group I remember is Bill, the photographer from Mankato back in the day. Did you ever see Bill, the Free Press photographer? And he was such a big fella that his nickname was the Group. That's what I remember. They had Morgan Brandrup was the sports editor. He was the Golden Palomino, and the photographer was Bill Irwin, something like that. And he was the Group.
Just called the Group?
The Group here. The Group was his nickname.
The Group.
He was a big fella. Anyway,
all right. Well, that was therapeutic. Nice little session there.
Yeah. Now we can pretty well forget about him until the.
Well, in 1 month we're gonna get the Carlos Correa decision. If you will.
That's right. He's like 3 days after the World Series or something.
5 days after the World Series.
If they went, I've always said it's not happening. He always makes them free agents. But what if you call his bluff and give him 5 more at 36? Say, but you got to tell us in a week. We'll give you 5 more at this number.
5 more in addition to the 2.
Yeah, the 2s you got left. Would you convert the 2 to not be player options, right? Yes, yeah. He's got to stay here for 7 years. Yeah. 7 for 36. Give him 5 more at the same number.
But even if he doesn't re-sign, everything's fine.
Yep.
Don't worry.
Yep. Coming up next at shortstop, the Twins are going to find a way because they always do. Back to you, Dick.
And Pete Mackey will be back. So
Pete Mackey.
Maybe we
I don't want to do this anymore. Pete's going to be okay.
Start having a little 5-minute segment on BSN, the Pete Mackey Show. That would be pretty good.
Hosted by Phil Mackey.
Hey, right. That would be good. He's not the Irish Mackey. He's the Finnish Mackey.
He is. Yes, we would brawl. I don't know what.
All right, gentlemen. I got to be outstate Minnesota for a couple of days, so I won't be with you Thursday, but I'll be with you Friday.
Sounds good. All right. See you, Pat.
Safe
All right. Boy, that
feel
therapy
better?
Session there. Actually, I do feel a little bit better. I do. Do you guys feel a little bit better?
Well, it's weird.
Or Declan, do you wish that would have ended 15 minutes earlier?
15 minutes ago.
I'm searching I'm searching for my invitation to the press conference yesterday so that I could have gotten in on that 1 hour of delicious baseball conversation.
I heard you're too negative.
But I'm looking high and low, and I can't seem to find it.
Sometimes if you go into the spam, sometimes these emails get put in your spam. You could just do a check through it. Plus, you're old. You don't know how to use technology. So I would just go through all your folders.
Spam would be a good place for twin stuff to go these days.
Yeah. By the way, that therapy session was presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Been around for over 100 years, helping businesses maximize their level of success through risk management tools, resources. They're all about protecting your business, riding that elevator to success. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours.